Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Introduction, Training and Exercise Physiology. This term we're going to be looking at training and exercise. You should have some sort of general background understanding of this from 10-ped and 9-ped, so hopefully we're going to build on that and create a really in-depth understanding of how we can create training programs to improve performance. This is the first time we're running an online lecture version of this course, so the requirements are that you watch the lecture at home and you pause and answer some of the questions as your homework, add them into your OneNote page, and then you bring that to class and we build on that further from there. So it's really important that you do these lectures and come prepared to class. If you've got any feedback for me, because it is the first time we're running it, let me know in class and I'll try and improve next time. So our focus questions this term: how do we get energy from movement? What energy systems contribute to physical activity? What are the effects of training? How are training programs designed? And we have to look at things like fitness components, training principles, and training methods. So the first thing we need to consider, energy systems. We have 3 energy systems, and basically we have our lactic acid system, or our anaerobic energy system, which is these first 3 lines, the red, the blue, and the green. Okay, so we're looking at the first couple of minutes of exercise. That's the energy system we use primarily, and then it turns into our aerobic energy system. And all that means is that the energy is being produced differently, and we can use it to a different intensity. So, keeping this in the back of your mind, we're going to move on to fitness components. This is going to be the first concept we look at. Now, you should have done fitness components fairly thoroughly over the years, so it's not going to be a concept that we focus on a lot. However, it is going to be critical to ensuring that your training programs are successful and relevant. So, we have health-related fitness components and skill-related fitness components. These are broken down into these 2 sections because we have these top 5 here in this purple colour, which are things that we use daily or things that we need for general health. That doesn't mean that we don't need them for sport, however. They are still very important for sport. These second 6, now these are skill-related fitness components, and that's because they are purely surrounding needing to improve skill or things that we need for skill-based activities. You don't need agility in your day-to-day life to survive, whereas you need some sort of muscular strength for daily exercises or just routine things like lifting shopping bags, lifting heavy boxes, etc. So the next thing we need to look at, analysing our fitness test results. Well, at the end of last term, we did our fitness testing. I know some of you haven't. You will at some stage. And we use these to identify strengths and weaknesses in our own skill set so that we can tailor our training programs to improve our necessary areas. Okay. Now, when we're deciding on our fitness tests, we have to consider the activity that we're doing, so this term netball, and the types of exercises we use to test the relevant fitness components. Obviously, not all exercises and all fitness components are going to be as necessary as each other. The same as we're not going to get a good understanding of arm strength if we only do leg strength-based tests. So we need to have a fairly comprehensive list of fitness tests that we're going to complete in order to give us a very accurate picture of our netballing ability. And this comes under the training principle specificity. If it's not specific, we won't get the information that we need. Going back to our fitness components specifically, each fitness component is reliant on one energy system. And the combination of these energy systems and fitness components allow us to produce these specific training programs for our sport. So the first thing, identify our fitness components relevant for netball. The second thing, choose the relevant training methods that will target those fitness components. So if we look over to the right here, you can see a table. This table demonstrates the sport and the percentage used in each of our 3 main energy systems. Okay, so for basketball, 60% energy is in that ATP-PC system, really high levels of anaerobic energy. It's followed by 20% in both the lactic acid and our aerobic or oxidative. Think oxygen. We need oxygen to produce energy in our aerobic system. If we look at something more like, let's have a look, swimming, distance swimming, it looks quite different. So it only has 10% of the ATP-PC system. Now it's probably relying on that small burst of energy at the start of a race to get the head start. Okay, and then it moves more into 20%, maybe we're looking at overtaking other swimmers, and then 70% in that aerobic energy system, purely because you have to maintain a thorough rhythm in order to continue your breathing at relevant intervals in order to maintain your ability to swim for a long distance. All right, so if we look back at our training methods, the training method that we use to train our aerobic system is very different to the training method we might use to improve, say, strength or power. So have a think for a moment. Which energy system would you use to improve your aerobic energy system? If you said continuous training, you would be correct. What about if I asked the best training method to improve power? Which training method would you choose? If you said plyometrics, you would be correct. All right, moving on. A nice little overview of training program design. This is going to be the largest aspect of your new knowledge that you learn this term. Most of you would have done a training program in PED last year or the year before, but it wouldn't have looked quite this extensive. The training program that I have in this image is looking at a training program in terms of 12 months. So we're looking at a full year program. And how it differs is it breaks the whole year down into different sections. So we've got our pre-season in these first few months. We have our in-season next, and then we have an off-season before we start our pre-season again. Down this left-hand side, we have our fitness components that are the most important. Obviously, this list can be quite long. And then it says the sort of focus that we're going to have on those fitness components in those particular sections. All right, now these are called microcycles, mesocycles, and macrocycles. So the macrocycle is we're looking at the entire cycle over the 12 months. Then it breaks it down. So then we're looking at our mesocycles, we're looking at pre-season, we're looking at in-season, and we're looking at off-season. Then we break it down further. We look at a microcycle being maybe 1 week worth of training in July. All right, so we can break it down to ensure that we're meeting all the criteria that we need to. But we'll get back to this later down the track. Another really important concept we have to think about is our training principles. So training principles guide our decisions when we're planning our training program. Now these can be over the whole program, or they could be in one session, or they could be in one exercise within that session. It all depends on what you're doing. But for example, we talked about specificity in terms of making sure we pick specific fitness components that are relevant to test in our fitness testing. Another example of specificity might be choosing the correct agility drill to improve fast feet in netball. Okay, a couple of definitions that you should be aware of. Physical performance, we're looking at a specific purpose. So we're looking at how can we improve in sport. Whereas exercise, we're looking at physical activity that requires movement. So a more generic version of it. And then training, it's more about designing physical activities to improve that physical performance or that specific purpose. So these two are quite related. Exercise, we look at a more general basis. As PED students, you need to know and understand how physical responses can be improved through exercise physiology. So Mesdra's mentions understanding how these energy systems contribute to energy production and their limitations is an important aspect of improving physical performance. So knowing how our energy systems work is imperative to improving our physical performance. The same as knowing and understanding our fitness components is imperative to improving our performance. Without understanding all these concepts, you can't grasp an entire understanding of training program design. All right, we'll stop there. You have one more lecture to watch after this, and that's your fitness component lecture.